Hi, so I'm trying to access well, we're late for music bingo because I haven't been able to get down these hills, but I'm at the corner of Water Street and King Street, and I've just come down this hill. They've closed off Pugleys Lot to people with accessibility passes, so I've had to park up at the Canterbury parking lot or parking space. And coming down this hill, and I started going towards the corner here, which is there's a lip where I could possibly tip over. So I've had to have my foot down to keep my wheelchair from going down any further. So anyway, for the people in the city that plan these things, that don't plan for and forget people with disabilities as usual, I just wanted to kind of let you know about this. It's typical, I guess, that they'll risk the safety of people. And the other thing is, I have a powered chair. I don't have a manual chair. So, heaven forbid, a person with a disability wants to attend things in the city alone. That would be absolutely disastrous. And again, there is no other spots for me to be able to park at to access the Area 506 because they've completely closed the Pugleys parking lot off, as they did with the Rib Fest. Off parking lots for people that want to attend 506 like they've done with the Rib Fest. This gentleman here is going to help me, and so yeah, here we go. I'm just going to pause this and oh shit. And these are strangers, by the way, not paid actors, so shame on you, City of St. John. Or Port, or whatever, Port St. John, or whoever's responsible for this shit. My partner Elizabeth just did this to her nail. Got it caught on my wheelchair, trying to keep me from going over the side of the sidewalk. Anyway, great job. Small city, big heart, City St. John. So we're not actually going to be able to even attend the... Hi, everyone. I just want to do a follow-up to the video from this afternoon. Elizabeth's toe is bandaged because of the fact that my wheelchair went over her toe, and her big toe, it split when she was trying to keep my wheelchair from sliding off the sidewalk. Makes for a great afternoon. Unfortunately... we had to what started out as an afternoon of wanting to go down and take part in music bingo on Sundays and maybe get a meal at the Container Village, and I wanted to do a little bit of an audit of the Fundy Key accessibility with my drones. Turned into a day that we weren't able to partake in any of that, because it was not safe to get to the Container Village from where I parked, which was at the corner of Canterbury and King Street, in a parking spot that's not even really one that's up to code. Another day in the life of a person with disabilities in the City of St. John. I've talked to some counselors and given some ideas, and this is the part that's very frustrating, is that I've given ideas as to how things like this can be overcome. Setting some spots aside in Pugleys Lot when you are having events, specifically for accessible parking. Making all of the parking spots along Water Street, along that 2 or 3 blocks. Making it a special event parking for people with accessibility parking passes. Let the able-bodied people walk from Prince William Street and Canterbury and all these other streets like they're able to. A person like me can't do that, and it's discriminatory. I think we all know that, although some of us live in denial. But one of the things that I've heard from people is it costs too much money. Well, these are very low-cost ideas to at least conquer one part of the accessibility question that seems to exist in this city. Just wanted to say thank you to the people that helped us there today. Again, they were strangers. They were just people that were walking by. And I asked one gentleman if he would record me trying to get down the rest of the hill with his friends there to make sure I didn't roll down. It was a dangerous situation. I hope it won't be minimized, and more importantly, I hope it'll be rectified. I'm not sure why. I mean, coming from another province, coming from Ontario, which I'm sure a lot of people don't want to hear that, but coming from a place where these things, for the most part, not perfect, but they were taken into consideration to come here, it's a pretty hard pill to swallow. And I am going to take this opportunity to say these things and probably bore a few people, whether they're on city council or for the province or the federal level. I challenge any of you that are able-bodied. Actually, right now I have access to 2 power chairs. Come for a little ride with me in Uptown. Make sure you wear bubble wrap around yourself and a crash helmet, but come for a ride with me just to see what it's like. But I am pretty upset about this. I pay property taxes, and I pay into the city. And to have things that I can't use, that's an insult. And I will say this, if the mayor ever sees this, think if you're a woman and you can't access certain areas of the city. You can't anymore because that doesn't exist. But that's still very real for people like me, But think of what that would be like. Think of that mindset. Think of the mindset in St. John. That is not 2024. I was excited to come to this city. I really was, because I was born here. I left in 73 and moved back 48 some odd years later after living in Texas, Alberta, BC, most of my time in Ontario, over 30 some odd years. I was excited to come home, and I went to high school in St. Andrews. I'm just saying this to give you a little bit of background. So I used to visit every year since 1999, 98, 99. Graduated in 88 there, but was really excited to come home. Home, home is supposed to be safe, but to come home to where I was born, to my roots, to talk to people, that were born in the same hospital, because I didn't have a connection to the city, but I was completely thrilled. I mean, it's a beautiful city. Aesthetically, it's a beautiful city. And what I'd like to see is a beautiful city with a beautiful attitude towards people with disabilities. And ladies and gentlemen, you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. You can't just talk about it. You got to start somewhere. And part of that as well is laying out clearly defined plans as to what accessibility is going to entail and what you are going to do. I don't know how many comments I've made, and I've always been respectful, but I've been forceful, as any demographic who is advocating for basic human rights should be. But I have asked for details of accessibility from Wayne Long's office, ignored, blocked actually. I've been blocked from Wayne Long's Facebook and social media, not because I'm critical of a specific party. The mayor, Donna Reardon's social media, not really, very rarely have ever been acknowledged. The only time Wayne Long acknowledged me was he said, talk to the contractor. And my thing is, excuse my language, but why the hell should I have to talk to a contractor about basic human rights, about accessibility, so I can utilize an open space or a new build or whatever, like anybody else? Why would that be the answer? Because whether we realize it or not, it's a human rights issue. That would be like saying a member of LGBTQ, well, can I access this space? And Wayne Long or a city official or whatever say, talk to the contractor. See how stupid that sounds? It sounds really stupid and sounds discriminatory. What happens because of all this? Well, we run into days like this where my partner's injured and I'm almost injured. And the city's idea of accessible parking is having something that's several blocks away from where I'm going to go and down hills. It's like the parking lot, the parking spot that's at the side of City Hall there, the accessible parking spot that's on a hill. Okay, so my partner's here. So I didn't really want to turn this into like an interview style thing, but let's look at your foot again. And the thing is, ladies and gentlemen. This is really something that shouldn't have been. So yeah, Elizabeth, first of all, what's your impression of me being forced to park up, I don't know, 3 or 4 city blocks and walk down or get down a hill somehow in a power chair to attend an event at 506? I mean, what's your impression of that in the city of St. John?
Well, it was pretty disappointing. We drove around trying to find parking that was closer and we couldn't find anything, and so I suggested going up King Street because it was the street with like less of an incline so that we could get down to Water Street, and it was still quite a quite an incline, so
Yeah.
that was disappointing.
One of the things that I didn't mention as well is that when I went back up the hill that I almost had that accident, I couldn't go up the sidewalk. I actually had to go out onto King Street and go up the hill because of the way that it was sloped. Because when I tried to go up the hill, number one, I kept being pushed over towards the side. The street was a little bit safer, but I was still on the street, and that's how I had to get up there. And again, if anybody watching this video thinks that I'm exaggerating or lying, I challenge anybody to put your money where your mouth is. Meet me with my other chair, and let's take a journey together. I'll even buy you lunch, because that's how serious this is. And I just think of how many people that are excluded from this city, or sorry, excluded from events in this city because they've just become used to it. They've become used to being shut off, shut down. Whether it's, I have suggestions about making the Moonlight Bazaar that you guys have here accessible. I've talked to one of the counselors about it. The other one didn't want to listen. You know, and I do like to consider myself a person of solutions as well. And that part of that also has to that comes from my years on the Accessibility Advisory Committee from the city in Ontario that I moved from. But this idea that it's completely acceptable to openly discriminate against people with disabilities by not including them in events. And I'm not just talking about inside. I mean, yeah, they built Area 506, and for a while, you just the city just thumbed its nose at people with disabilities and didn't make it accessible at all. Eventually, on their own time, they got around to doing some partial accessibility. It's still not perfect, you know, but the other part of the equation for places that are inclusive is that you have to think about how people can get in there, and not all of us get dropped off by the handy bus, which archaic term, actually very insulting term. Handy. Look up the history of the word handicapped to know what I mean. I'll leave that to you to use Google. Paratransit, but not all of us are required to be dropped off by paratransit. Not all of us need an attendant when we go out in public. I'm very fortunate. I drive a vehicle and I have a collapsible power chair, and that shouldn't ban me from getting anywhere, and it shouldn't result in injury. And again, I'll tell you, the worst part about this is that the effort that I'm putting into this video to try to raise awareness more than likely won't be taken seriously because there is just such a discriminatory mindset towards people with disabilities here. I'm speechless sometimes. And the funny thing is that if you're not Indigenous, you'll never be Indigenous. My partner is actually part Indigenous, but I will never be Indigenous. I will never be a member of the LGBTQ2S community. I'll never be a woman, But one of the things we all have in common, every one of us, is that at one point, all of us could be, or some of us could be disabled or have a disability and have problems getting around. For me, it happened early in my life, but it can happen to anybody. And then what do you do? Does it take a city councilor to be outspoken and to live a life of disability? I'm not talking about somebody that ages as they get or that loses their mobility when they become elderly. But I'm talking about younger people. Is that what it's going to take, for changes to be made for little things, you know, like creating accessible parking spots, it's setting aside a section of Pugsley's Lot, a small section, like they didn't do at Ribfest as well. Or, as I said, creating and I'm repeating myself because I want to drive this point home about how we're just not thought of. Um, you know, uh, Creating event parking along Water Street for anything at Area 506. Area 506 is a beautiful area and or spot. I love going there because I can get there because I can park in the Pugsley's Lot as any other person with disabilities, and I love the area there. The people in the food trucks, and I just enjoy the vibe. I enjoy when the cruise ships come in, you know, but the idea of people parking at Pugsley's Lot, especially people with disabilities, that was completely by accident. If there wasn't something like that there, I wouldn't be able to enjoy these facilities. And it's really frustrating to watch the Fundy Key go up, see all of this waterfront revitalization without any consideration towards accessible parking. You know, um, 10, 15, 20 spots in that area. Yeah, I'm sure there's some of you that are going to roll your eyes at that because again, you're privileged. You can walk, and you don't have any issues with mobility or minimal issues. You can use your legs, but for people like us and people like me and people that are much worse off than I am, because I can walk very short distances. This is the difference between um, being able to participate in society or staying home and being isolated. And St. John, you need to wake the hell up and start doing something. Start creating a plan. Stop saying it's a provincial issue. Racism is not a provincial issue. Uh, Misogynistic behavior is not a provincial issue. LGBTQ2S rights are not a provincial issue. They are a human rights issue. They are issues that are tackled at the municipal level, the provincial level, and the federal level. And it's about time that St. John drops the old attitudes and gets into the 21st century. You want to be a world class leader, you want to be a world class city, you're putting all of this money into revitalization of my city as well because I was born here, and I have been trying so desperately to be a proud St. Johner. As I said, I was so excited to move here. I wanted to be a proud St. Johner, but it's really hard when I wake up every day and I feel the level of exclusion to a lot of the public areas that I do. And it's not it's a fact. It's a fact. Anyway, lecture, you might have tuned out by now, and if you have, you got to ask yourself why. Why you have the ableist attitude. You're not willing to listen to a person that lives this life every day and is merely trying to ask for some help and for some serious attention to these matters, because nobody nobody should have their day ruined because they can't access a facility unless they have a court ordered ban, quite frankly. Anyway, that's it. And I hope this reaches the right people. I hope that, the city has a change of heart. As I said, you make this place accessible, I guarantee you will not have a person that would be more proud to be here than myself. Um, I was so happy to come back to my home where I was born. I was happy to be able to meet people that grew up here and get to know a lot about the city. But it's hard to have any pride in a city that treats and excludes their citizens with mobility issues and disabilities in such a horrible way as the city of St. John does. And as I said, you know, all I'd want to see is a plan, a short-term plan, a long-term plan, and specifics. Not that we're going to do something, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I'll be more than happy to work with you guys. You know, it seems to me that the advisory committee that you have right now, they don't have a huge voice. They're not even connected to the city as an official group, from what I can tell. In City of St. Catharines, we were, and that says something. That says something about the attitudes towards people with disabilities. Anyway, I'm going to say this again. I appreciate your time. Sorry about the. Well, I'm not sorry. I just hope somebody will internalize this, take it to heart, and start acting. Thank you.